Hello everyone, this is Gary with your cards of the day, and still feeling a little bit wobbly today, but definitely an improvement on yesterday. Before I get started to the cards, I just want to give a shout out to some wonderful people who've really been supportive over the last couple of days, yesterday in particular. These are people who've commented on either on YouTube or people who've commented on Facebook as well, and just given me some love and light and support, and I really do appreciate it. So big thanks and love and hugs goes out to Power Explore 69, Florist Design, Manda Melissa, to Angel Steve 41, to Glammy Witch, also to Georgia DiPiero 8, and of course to Gypsy of Gypsy's Closet. Big thank you to you guys. It really meant a lot to me yesterday. Now, the cards that I've chosen today, the decks used, I've decided to go a little bit more in depth really, and what we have is a bit of a Will Worthington fest. We have the Druid Craft Tarot. I've also used both the Druid Animal Oracle and the Druid Plant Oracle, and the final card is the only one that sort of bucks the trend, and that is from the Rune Vision cards by Sylvia Gainsford. And the card I drew first was in fact from the Druidcraft Tarot, and this is the Six of Swords, and I must admit I'm very happy to see this card. The suggestion here very much is of moving on from difficulties, moving away from difficulties. Basically things getting better, brighter. You can see the brightness actually of the yellow sky here. The camera light is driving it absolutely nuts. Basically it's a scene with a husband and wife, it looks like, in a boat, and they're being pushed along by a cloaked figure at the back, and they're travelling over water. So there is really a suggestion here of things today being better than they have been, and I mean that is certainly my hope. Then of course we have a card from the Druid Animal Oracle, and this is the card of the owl. And to me, when I link with this card, what I'm getting very strongly is it's nighttime. Owls are known as nocturnal creatures, but owls thrive in this environment, and they really do make the most of what to just about every other creature, certainly creatures that don't have the owl's keen eyesight and hearing, an environment that is actually very disabling, the sort of dark of night to some extent. But owls really thrive, and they really turn what for other creatures is a disadvantage into their advantage. And so to me there is a really strong feeling of the making the most of what you've got, really, taking advantage and using those things that perhaps you or maybe other people, but certainly yourself, feel are disadvantages, and turning them to advantages. That is the very strong feeling I get here. Also, we have on the wall behind or the tree even, behind the owl, we have ivy. And if anybody has seen ivy growing up the walls of houses or cottages, ivy is one of those plants that really does thrive in environments that other plants would struggle. It shoots up walls, it gets into places you really wouldn't expect, and it survives. It's a survivor. And so it feels to me very much like there is a message of that today as well, the survival, turning disadvantages to advantages, surviving, but also a feeling that the peace and quiet of nighttime can be good for us as well. Certainly is for me. I spent a lot of time last night just sort of trying to get myself together in a way. There's a slightly less polite way of putting it, which I'll not use. So that's the owl today. The third card that I got, and I don't use this deck very, very often, is from the Druid Plant Oracle, and this is the Club Moss, Fir Club Moss, in fact. And interestingly, the book, which I did look into with this one as well, reminds us that Fir Club Moss is actually related to the giants of the forest, and even though Fir Club Moss is very, very small, it still has that strength within it, by virtue of it being related to, you know, these huge trees that are seen in forests the world over. So in a sense, it's a card of, you know, taking notice of the small things as well as the large, and in some ways size not really mattering, you know, in the sort of long run. It's not necessarily about being the biggest, the strongest, the best. And there's also a feeling very much with this card of sort of new beginnings. It does kind of remind me of another plant relationship that we see, which is between the acorn and the oak tree. And the phrase that from tiny acorns giant oaks grow. In a sense, what we have here is an indication of newness, new beginnings, and that sort of inner strength that this smaller relative of the fir family has. Our final card today is a rune card, and this is the rune of Kaunaz, or Ken. And this features the goddess Skuld. Now, interestingly, you'll notice immediately our friend the owl reappears. This is a different owl. The previous one is a barn owl. This, I think, is an eagle owl. You know, we have that, owls, of course, being wisdom. We have that indication. This particular goddess was responsible for bringing wisdom to people. That was kind of her job. She's one of a trio of goddesses, and that was her particular job. But we've also got the sort of light here that she's carrying, the torch, which gives us a feeling of enlightenment as well. And one thing that is really drawing me here is the purple in the sky behind her, which to me is, as you know, as you've been watching these videos, is a colour of spirituality. So it makes me wonder if perhaps the sort of trials and tribulations and the difficulties and the depressions and all these kinds of things ultimately lead to a spiritual enlightenment and spiritual wisdom. So if we look at how these cards work together, we have the Six of Swords, which is about moving forwards, moving away from difficulties. Perhaps also something that's literally just occurring to me, moving from turbulent emotions, turbulent waters, to calmer emotions and calmer waters. We have the owl turning his wisdom to his advantage, turning his disadvantages, or the things that would disadvantage others, in particular his nocturnal environment, to his advantage. And also the ivy, which it reminds us that it's about surviving and just getting through things. We have the fir club moss, which is in a sense small but mighty, related to the giants of the forest, bringing us strength, but bringing us new beginnings as well, and a fresh start. And we have the rune of Ken, reinforcing that message of wisdom, but also of enlightenment, and possibly spiritual enlightenment as well. So I hope you've enjoyed these cards of the day. Please do feel free to drop me some comments and let me know how your day pans out. I once again would like to thank all the people who've commented on my videos, posted on my channel, posted on my Facebook, and really just given me your love and support. It is so valued. I honestly can't tell you enough. I want to wish everyone a really happy and blessed day, and I want to wish love, light, magic, and beautiful things to everyone.